Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome, friends and family from around the world, to the Energetic Life Now show. I am your host, Eric Stenlake, and it is such an honor and privilege to spend the next 50 minutes with you and your families and loved ones around the world. Today's show is being broadcast on the Spanglish World and her networks, which is on Zingo TV, channel 250 and 251. And if you don't have the Zingo TV app downloaded yet, please go onto your iOS or Android devices and download that app. It is free, which is super nice. And then hop on and join us every week on Tuesdays at 5 o'clock. This show is also on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire TV Sticks, Roku Sticks, and on all smart TVs 2016 and forward. And you guys know here at the Energetic Life Now show, you guys know how I roll. I bring the best of the best and nothing less. And tonight, my friends, is no different because my dear friend is back with us for another riveting conversation. I cannot wait for you guys to get into this with us. This is going to be absolutely amazing. So please, let's give a big round of applause and welcome to my dear friend, Corinne Zuleger. Hooray! Welcome to the Energetic Life Now show. How's it going there, my dear friend?
Oh, it's going fantastically, Eric. It's evening here in Wisconsin, so
Wisconsin, don't you know?
Yeah. Wisconsin. I'll just say it so you know where I'm from.
Yeah, we just know where it's from. So I don't know how things are in your neck of the woods, but over here in SoCal, I don't know, for whatever reason, internet is doing some funky stuff today. I don't know what's happening. So if I drop out, friends and family, do not leave the channel because it's just going to keep flowing and I will pop back in. And Corinne's just gonna pop in there and be like, "Hey, I got the show. It's my show now. So you can rename it and talk about. It'll be your broadcast for as long as it takes me to get back in." So, fingers crossed, we are going to be a-okay. So tonight, dear friends, bring to you something that is of great value and importance, and this is coming from our work that we have done with Dr. Daniel Amen and the Amen Clinics, and all in brain health. Yes. So we are both certified brain health trainers in the content and scope of what Dr. Daniel Amen does. And if you're not familiar with Dr. Daniel Amen, he is the world's leading renowned doctor, if you will, of brain spec imaging, and he has been around for a long time. If you've been anywhere here in the U.S. and have had a chance to go get a brain scan done, it is an amazing experience, and you get to learn how and why your brain is operating in the way that it is. He's done the largest study ever done with NFL football players, and a lot of post-concussion work there. He's worked with a lot of Hollywood music stars and actors and actresses, world-class athletes, all the way down to everyday people just coming in off the streets. He has Dr. Amen has scanned 2 of the 3 of my kids and has brought to light what was going on with them. So it's been an absolutely valuable experience with that. So just teeing that up for us here. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to us and give us a little bit of your background, what you're doing, and where folks can find you in the social media presence.
Okay, I'm Corinne Zuleger. I'm a transformation and healing strategist. They can find me on Facebook, Corinne Zuleger Life Coaching. You can find me on Instagram, Corinne_Zuleger, on Threads, TikTok. Everything goes by my name that you see on the screen there. So it's pretty easy to find me. I work with bringing things to light and bringing so that people can heal. So primarily working with women at this point, or working with schools is a passion of mine, and helping people understand their emotional and mental wellness, and how that also affects your physical wellness and your spiritual wellness. So that's me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yes, and you can find her on any of the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, uh, LinkedIn.
I am on LinkedIn.
Yes, we can't leave out LinkedIn because that's a great
I
platform.
do have a YouTube channel too. It's
Wait,
just my,
what?
I know,
You,
right? I haven't done a lot with it, but it's coming. It's like coming up. It's one of those things bubbling to the surface. So just watch
yeah.
for it.
And then don't you have a podcast or a show or something that's going on?
Ooh, I do. I have a podcast called The Secret Keepers, and the podcast is, again, it's about bringing things to light so that we can bring healing to our bodies. Because when we keep things stuffed down inside of us and we don't allow ourselves to process the emotions, um, it can cause a physical manifestation of some sort of disease in our body. So that's the podcast. I bring on different guests. We talk about healing, right? So it's not just about the secret or what the secret was. It's about, this is the thing that I dealt with, and here's what life is like on the other side, because this is what joy and love and freedom and fulfillment and just being my authentic self looks like on the other side.
Yeah, that's great. And I love the play on words, secret keep, KEEPHERS, almost like two words, keep hers.
Mhm.
I think that's a really beautiful play on words with that. So thank you. And please, I would highly recommend you guys go and check out that because it's absolutely fantastic. And I love it.
And on pretty much any platform, any podcast platform, Apple, Spotify are the two main. iHeartRadio, can find it also on um, Facebook.
Beautiful.
So thanks for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's great. All right. So tonight, friends, we're bringing to you some really great content in what we talk about with emotional responses and connections in terms of two ideas here. One is dragons, and the other is ants. And the ants, we know, is an acronym for automatic negative thoughts. And so, as we unpack this tonight, I really would urge you guys to have something to write on and take some notes on this because this is going to be really something that not only you can take in for yourself, but is going to help you understand a bit more about your loved ones, your family, your friends, and wherever you are around the world. And so, I really would encourage you to prepare yourself to take some notes on this. So Corinne, why don't you start us off a little bit here, talking about the dragons and that what the heck are dragons? Because I mean, like, are we gonna slay dragons tonight? Get it? Slay dragons. We're gonna slay dragons.
Watching ants tonight.
Yes, we're slaying dragons and squashing ants. I love it. I love it.
Yes. Okay. So dragons are emotional triggers, and they're typically stemming from past experiences. So they're things that get stored in our mind, if you will. And it's in a part where you're not really even aware of it until you hit it. It's like you don't really know how much it hurts to stub your toe until you stub your toe, and then it just sends that signal through your whole entire body, and it's like, oh yeah, I stubbed my toe. That's, to me, that's what a dragon is. It's this can cause us to do things where we're like, why did I just do that? Why did I just react that way? And so they're called dragons because, like, often then it can make us feel like we're going to breathe fire because that's the response we want to have from it, is like, whoa, this made me angry, or, it can set your brain on fire, if you will.
Yeah. So you mentioned that these are from past experiences,
Mhm.
past traumas or events or situational connections, relational connections, if you will, and that they're stored in the mind. So I'm going to assume then that as I am storing this information in my mind, that it's going to be looping in my subconscious, right?
Yes.
And so when and wherever that event or interaction happened in my mind, it is looping in the background like a page open on a computer
Yes.
where it's constantly downloading to refresh,
Mhm.
and that's happening in our conscious and subconscious mind. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I always teach the kids is that it's like having, when you have your phone, right? You got your phone and you have all those apps that are you left open. My husband is famous for that. You leave them open, right? And you don't close them out. And so they're running. They're running in the background there. And that's what the subconscious is. And the thing about the subconscious is it does 95% of your thinking.
Mm.
And only 5% of it is that logic conscious brain. And so with that, we think we're thinking, but we're actually on an automatic pilot that is run. And a lot of that information that is stored in there has been stored in there since pre 8 years old. And so there even has been information that says that, um, the real formative type things are before you're 3. And so um, you're not going to have a conscious awareness of, not immediately aware this might have come from. If it happened maybe around 8 or 9 or 10, then you might be like, oh yeah, like I remember that. Or maybe you were 5 and you have a vague recollection of it. But for the most part, you're just not going to be really aware of it until you start going, I notice this is happening quite a bit. This is a
Yeah.
pattern. This is a pattern in my life.
Yeah, and I love that you use the word pattern because yeah, it's something that's happening over and over and over again. It's a pattern. It's a default that I do over and over and over again, in action, in thought, in word, and I wonder why I keep getting the same results over and over again. Well, because you're not making any change. We're
Right.
doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results is the definition of insanity.
Right.
It's not going to change until I change it.
Yes.
And that's a really cool gift that we get to do for ourselves.
And the beauty is that we can,
Mhm.
right? We can make the choice
Yeah.
to change it because it really is. It's a choice. It's a decision to do the thing to
Yeah.
change it, right? It's just nobody said it would be comfortable.
Oh, you mean change is hard sometimes?
Yeah. Yeah. And
It's
so
good. Let's jump into a dragon, please, if we may. And if you guys see me looking down, it's because I've got notes galore going on over here, and because this is something that's really fun for us to do, and because we've studied this so much, so we've got manuals and books and all kinds of things open. So just know that that's where we are if we're like looking down at stuff. So go ahead, please, and tell us about the first dragon that we're going to slay tonight.
tonight we are going to slay the inferior and flawed dragon. It is time for you to go. Okay. Uh,
Wow.
and this particular dragon can come up, and it rears its head, um, from experiences of feeling less than or flawed, compared to others, right? This is where we get into that comparison. I'm not as good as, and we really want to look at asking, right? Is it true? you know, is it true that that's not the case? And um, I know you and I talked about, just kind of like examples of, where do we see this come up? And I think the kids see it now with social media, more than anything. The inferior and flawed dragon is just out there, like with, is fire breathing all over the place because our young people are comparing themselves to, you know, social media images that are either, they could be, generated images, they could be airbrushed, and that's been going on for a long time. Magazines with airbrushed models and things like that, and nobody even knows what anybody really looks like anymore.
Right.
It's really sad, and that can really break down our self-esteem.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that this dragon here, inferior and flawed, I don't know that I could pinpoint someone who has not experienced this at one time or place or another in their life where they felt inferior to someone else because of something that they contrived. And you said it a minute ago, to be true, to be true. And I think that's the harm that we do in this, rather than going and saying, oh gosh, I feel so inferior, I feel so this, I feel flawed, I'm this. Is that true? Is that true all 100% of the time, or is that true right now? And then be able to say yes or no. And listen, I hear this all the time, every day at school with the kids. Oh, I'm so stupid. They're better than me. They're so she's so much prettier than me, or he's so much better at this than me. And they have that comparison based identity that's going on. And that inferior and flawed, I could tell you that has shown up so many times for me in different times, and that you and I both know, we both coach people on this all the time.
Yeah.
I'm getting a new job, I'm going to try this, I'm doing that, but I don't feel like I'm good enough, strong enough, this enough, that enough. I'm just
Yeah.
I can't stand the justas.
Yes, and that I agree, right? But there's a lot of information in the just, right? If you look at it, if you take a good peek at it, it's like what kind of information is in the just? So when I'm feeling inferior or I'm feeling flawed, where is it really, right? Let's get the flashlight out. Let's take a peek, pop the hood up. Let's look what's going on inside. It's what's going on inside of me. That makes me believe that I am somehow less than someone else,
Yeah.
not as good as someone else, right? And that's the thought that comes in that creates the feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Think, feel, do, have. We talk about that a lot with what we do, and with that we have ways that we can flip the script, right? We have ways that we can help each other. We have ways that we can help ourselves. This is the best part about this kind of stuff, is that there are ways that we can help ourselves. There are ways that you can help your children, because we're modeling all the time. So if any young person is watching you as an adult, how you talking to yourself? Are you comparing yourself to that model that you see on TV and shaming yourself and and feeling inferior? Um, they're watching. The neighborhood kid's watching.
Yeah.
The kid in the grocery store line is watching. So we're always being a model for some young person out there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. And so let's connect now the ants, the automatic negative thoughts, and we've touched on a few of these already. And just so you guys know, this is coming out of Dr. Amen's book here, Conquering Your Negative Thoughts. And I love this book. It's not very thick, but it goes through all the automatic negative thoughts that he teaches. And the less than ant because this is part of that comparison-based identity, automatic negative thought. These are the less than ants are some of the most toxic,
Mhm.
are some of the most toxic ants that we can bring to ourselves, that we can project in thought, that we can project in feeling upon ourselves or someone else. And so here's a couple of ways that this might show up for you and your family, and I hope that you would connect with some of these. I'm not good enough, right?
Mhm.
Easy peasy, right? I'm
Right.
not a good enough mother or father.
Oh, yep. I've had that.
Compared to who?
Mhm.
Compared to what? And here's that question we have to ask. Is that true?
Is it
Is
true?
that true 100% of the time? Is it true right now? I'm feeling inferior and
Mhm.
less than because what and why? And then being able to address that and understand where that thought and feeling is coming from, and then begin to look for a solution for that if a solution presents itself. If not, then we understand that it's not true and it's just me feeling and thinking the wrong thought, and now I'm going to let that thought go. I'm not a good enough son or daughter. I'm not a good enough wife or husband, a good enough boss or employee, investor, smart enough, rich enough, tall enough, strong enough, pretty enough, funny enough, kind enough, on and on and on and on. All of these things that I don't think that I am good enough in. And I
Mhm.
want to bring this back to the justice for a second here. Because listen, we all have tons of roles that we play in life, right?
Mhm.
I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a coach, I'm an educator, and I'm going into these and I work with middle school. So of course, one of the big words that is still in play right now is Sigma, meaning like you're really cool, man. Like you're really like it's an elite, if you will. Sigma is the top.
Yeah.
And because my name is Stenlake, the kids don't have a hard time remember that because it's long. So I just go by Mr. S. And when they say, what does the S stand for? I say Sigma.
Ah.
And they laugh and they crack up and they're like, what do you mean Sigma? And then I go into the complete opposite of less ants. I'm powerful. I'm amazing. I'm strong. I'm dependable. I'm courageous. I'm loving. I'm kind. I'm supportive. And they're like, oh, and you said a second ago, flip the script. I flipped the script on what they used to know and believe Sigma was. And now they're seeing it through a different lens and going, well, I want to be Sigma too.
Mhm. I
And
love
so here, this is where we're slaying that dragon and we're squashing those ants and we're saying no more comparison-based identity. I am gonna go into who I am and believe it to be true because I'm not a just ant. I've taken those roles and redefined them.
Mhm.
So when I say I'm a father, my role title for that is hero dad. I've taken my roles and I've redefined those at a higher level and meaning for me. So I'm not, oh, I'm just a dad. Oh, I'm just their father. Whatever. No, I'm a hero dad. And now I have those expectations to live up to.
I love that. I love that. I think it's a really cool idea that you are working with the kids and just being able to, again, you're modeling for them, you're showing them that this is how we use this stuff, and it's so good because like comparison has its role, right?
Mhm.
We, you know, we compare self to self for progress and self to others for possibility, right? Because
Mhm.
we want to see, like what's out there, expand ourselves, have a shift in perspective to see what's going on out in the world, right? But not so that we can shame ourselves and and make ourselves small.
Yeah. Yeah, because one of the things that I live by is being better every day.
Hmm.
Some people call it that 1% better every day, right? You look at the great athletes, Simone Biles, who,
Yeah.
again, winning all these, medals at the Summer Olympics. You go back to the Michael Jordan or the Kobe Bryants that are in the gym and shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting before, after practices, before games, after games, to them versus them. Can I defeat what's going on in my mind telling me I'm not strong enough, I'm not good enough
Mhm.
to put in that repetition, because practice, 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 practice reaches mastery.
Yes.
And when you have people that reach that mastery, look at any of the great inventors of our day, right? The Steve Jobs and all these people that have just risen to the top of their roles that they play in life,
It's true.
and it's them versus them. And I'm saying this because you said it a minute ago. I can use comparison for good when I'm
Mhm.
understanding that I am trying to make myself better and going after that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think about Walt Disney, and I mean,
Yeah.
hundreds and hundreds of people turned Walt Disney away. Your idea will never work. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Right. But if he would have stopped and like looked and compared himself and said, "Oh, you know what? Like, I've failed more than once. And we're not supposed to do that." He wouldn't have continued on, and
Mhm.
here we are today, and still enjoying all of his imagination and creativity. So
Yeah.
keep moving, keep putting it forward. And with the ants and and labeling, right? We want to focus on building up our self-esteem, right? It comes out of this I'm not enoughness, and or I'm not worthy to be, as good as. And we just want to look at it, and we all have flaws. We all have things that we could look at it and think they're quirky. I know I do. I'll be the first to raise my hand. But that's what makes me me.
Right.
That's what makes me just uniquely, beautifully me, just as you are you. And that we came here with that sole purpose, right? Of
Yeah.
being uniquely us, and not
Mhm.
carbon copy clone. How boring would the world be, Eric, if we all looked the same and sounded the same, and I said Wisconsin the same way you do? I mean, come on.
Yeah. I mean, right? It would be such a boring place. Yeah, I'm telling you.
Slice of life, you gotta have a little
That's
bit.
right. That's right. Yeah, yeah. So I love that. So friends and fame around the world. So as we're closing out this Dragon and Ant Connect here, really really understand that when you hear your kids saying this, or you're an athletic coach and you hear your players saying this, or you're thinking it for yourself, like really really go into that place of exploration and challenge those thoughts and feelings, and make sure that it's true. And if it's not, get it out of here. It's
Yeah,
gone. It's
talk,
gone. Don't need it.
right? I mean, that's, I'm just talking back to it. You start to hear those little negative voices, and you're like, okay. I mean, my little negative voice, her name is Nancy. I named her. And so when she starts to talk, BS to me, I'm like, okay, listen, Nancy, you know, no, like I challenge her. I'm like, is this true? Right. And I do that with her, because we need to talk positively, not just to ourselves, but to the people we love, and talk to ourselves like somebody you love, right? Because I am somebody I love.
Yeah. 100%. I love that. I love that. Okay, let's go into another dragon. What do we have for another dragon there?
Oh, we have the anxious dragon.
Anxious dragon.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
this particular dragon comes up. This one, is going to go a little deeper, right? Because this anxious dragon could come up from maybe a childhood trauma.
Mhm.
It can come up from fear, unpredictability, um, and it can cause a lot of excess worrying and stress. Yeah. And we see a
Yeah.
lot of that, right? I think that, again, we can go back to social media, TV, the news, all the negative things that can come in to our eyes and our ears that can that can make us feel anxious that,
Mhm.
the world is going to blow up in, tomorrow or something, because
Right.
that's a lot of what's coming in.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah, I've heard it said a few times that they may label, and we're going to get into this in just a second. They may label this generation coming up as the anxious generation
Mm.
because of these things, and I really hope they don't,
Yeah, me
because
too.
that will settle in belief systems for generations.
100%. Oh my God, Eric, I got chills through my body when you said it. It
Mhm.
will, it will create such a stigma. It
Yeah,
just, yeah,
yeah.
no, I can't. We need
Now,
to make sure that doesn't happen. We're protesting it. It's not.
Me too. Me too. Now, listen. Do our kids have anxiety? Are they on the anxious side? They are. That doesn't mean I have anxiety. It doesn't mean that I have
Mhm.
a disorder. Some people, yes, and I understand that because it goes back, like you said, to trauma that happened, to this and that, my own our oldest son is as an acute social anxiety disorder where he has a hard time leaving the house and going out into public and things of that nature. That's different. We're
Yeah.
talking about just your everyday feelings of anxiety and anxious in a negative way.
Mm.
Being nervous and anxious is good because it helps keep you on your toes. We go back through history. I mean, back to the early caveman days, if you were, if they weren't in a state of anxiousness,
It
they
was
would have been prey by something else.
so
And they would have been eaten and or what have you in that. So they had to stay on alert,
yeah.
which is where we came up with that fight or flight. I'm anxious. I'm in that. I'm either going to fight or I'm going to run because I'm going to try and save myself in that situation. So please understand what we're talking about here when we're talking about anxious and in worrisome, fearful, doubtful, things that manifest as being anxious about something. I mean, good God, you and I, we both grew up in the generations of we were doing duck and covers in the classroom because
Mm.
we thought we were going to World War III back in the 80s, for the love of Pete.
Yeah, we had bomb shelters and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We it really does come back to, even I think of like age appropriate viewing and listening, right? Because what they're putting in their eyes and what they're putting in their ears, if they don't understand the material that they're consuming, right, that can cause an anxiousness within them, right? So, and anxiousness, it can be contagious, because it gives off a certain energy. And now the people that come into your energy field, they can pick up on that vibration
Mhm.
and then also start to feel that same way. So very important to, find ways, um, to center yourself, right? This is where mindfulness really comes in, is, you know, like doing things like grounding. I love to walk around out in the grass in my bare feet. Not typically in January in Wisconsin, but otherwise, I'm now like too, I like to get my feet in the water. I love to be
Yeah.
in water. I love to be in nature. I love to move my body, because when I move my body, I release that energy out. And then when I put my feet in the grass, that that the earth actually absorbs that extra anxious energy, which is so beautiful. The trees are very calming. There's, we can practice just simple breathing techniques, the box breathing, breathe in 4,
Yeah.
hold for 4, exhale 4, hold for 4 on the bottom. That simple thing, done for a minute, can help bring that level down. And it's so beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, I get my kids cracking up because I'll tell them to go home, have a great evening, go hug a tree. And they're like, what? And then
Oh,
go, Mr. S, you're so weird. I go, yes, and I am, and
that as
I,
a compliment.
yeah, I acknowledge that. I received that. Thank you for understanding that there's something different about me.
I had
And
students that would call me a hip. They're like, "You're such a hippie, Mrs.
yeah,
Zuleger," and I'm like, "Thank you, thank you so
take
much
it
for
as a
that."
compliment. Okay, so let's go into the ants here from the anxious dragon, because there's a couple here that really align with this, and that is, let's talk about the fortune telling ant,
Mm.
and that is an ant that um, Dr. Amos says, do not listen to these ants. They are fortune telling. They think they can see where we're going, what's going to happen in the future, but all they really do is they think up bad stuff. And they get that rolling around in our mind, and then and then we get upset about it. Because the interesting thing here is what we got spinning around in our mind, we believe it to be true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
Well,
our brains don't know the difference, and it thinks it's real.
yeah. And do you know where fortune telling ants go to school?
Nowhere.
MSU. They make stuff up.
That's it. That's the show for tonight, people. Thank you very much, and we'll be here all week.
I'll take all the money. Just
Tip you away,
$100 bill.
waiters and waitresses. Now we're doing brain health stand
Now
up.
you can take that one to school tomorrow.
That is so great. I am so going to use that. That's awesome. That's awesome. So the fortune telling ants, right? Already predicting that I'm not going to be successful at something.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm not gonna. That I dealt with this so much with athletes, and I remember being that athlete in high school and college. And when the ball came to me, going, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do with this. I am gonna screw this up. I am gonna mess this up. And I'm fortunately telling myself the negative, as opposed to give me that ball. I can't wait to do something with this.
Yeah.
Let me be creative. Let's see what I can do in this opportunity. Some of the other fortune ones that are going on, people have been saying over the little bit here, is that word normal. Nothing's ever going to be normal, post pandemic, and now the world is so much worse. I'm doomed to be unemployed for years. I'm doomed. Inflation is never going to come down. We are stuck paying all this. I am going to get sick and die. I know it. I'm going to sick. I got a little cough. Look it up.
Yeah.
WebMD. What do I got? And believing that I got some disease when I don't.
Right.
What does that do to our cells, all the way down to our cellular structure? Is that it messes up the frequency, and our bodies start believing that it's true, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I give that presentation, or if I had to stand, this is why I tell my kids, if I had to stand up in class and speak, I'm going to have a panic attack. I just want to melt down into a little space and not be seen or heard. If I fail at something, I'm never going to try it again, because I'll never be good at it. It'll never happen. So you can see here how being anxious goes hand in hand with fortune telling. All of this fortune telling, automatic negative thoughts, is what drives that anxiety feeling, and the belief that I'm having a panic attack, and my anxiety is so high, I just can't even.
Yeah, and it goes along with that phrase, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? You've got the fortune telling ball, right? And I can look in there and I can already tell you this won't work. Well, if I say it won't work, that's what I'm going to believe, right? Because my mind doesn't know any different. My brain doesn't know any different between, what's real and what's not. So if I look in there, so you might as well, if you're going to go to MSU, you might as well make that picture like a really good one. Why do we go to the other end of the scale? If we're gonna make stuff up, let's make up some really good stuff, like
Right.
I'm looking in my crystal ball and I'm seeing really good things, like lots of $100 bills, right? Or lots of vacation, lots of time with my family, just good, healthy life, lots of abundance instead
Mhm.
of going the other way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love that. Right. Again, this is a script that we can flip. We have that control,
We
and
do.
it's up to us to enact on that, to
Mhm.
understand in that challenging, is this true? Yes or no? Is it true now, or is it true all the time? Well, no, it's not true all the time. It happens once in a while. Okay. So what do we do in the once in a whiles to get into a better place of where we're feeling better, acting better, and we can move forward. So there's another ant here that coincides with the anxious dragon that I'd love to present out here, is the mind reading ant.
Mm.
And this is when we're convinced that we can see into other people's heads.
Good after nearly 32 years with my husband. I'm pretty good,
Pretty
but
good.
I haven't quite perfected it yet.
Yes. 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 Mind reading. Mind reading. I know what they're thinking about me. I know what they're saying to me. I can see them standing over there, and that's what they're thinking. And I
Yes,
know it to be true.
yes.
Right?
I gave a presentation to some high school kids, and they're like, you think that girl is looking at you and judging your outfit, and because she's got this expression on her face, and she probably has gas, and y'all, you girls know, like that's not a good thing to have as a high schooler. Okay. So that, it's not about you, right? What her look isn't about you. Right, that whole mind reading thing. I think, they hate me, and it's like they didn't even, she's probably even not even looking at you. And the more we can understand that nothing that anyone else does is truly about you, right?
Mhm.
Only what you do is about you. So
Yeah.
it's beautiful, right?
Yeah, it's so true. And you know what? I mean, you and I both are avid into taking care of our bodies, right? And working out and doing different things. And going to the gym. This is probably the number one excuse we hear from people about not going to a place to go and work out, because they feel like they're being judged. People are watching them, people are observing them, and they feel so self-conscious, when the reality is everybody else in there is thinking the same thing. And
100%.
instead of turning the gym into a big happy place that everybody can come and high five and get to know each other, because we see each other there during the same workout times because our schedules align. We go in and we're all intimidated. We're all scared because we think that they're thinking this about us, and being judgmental in that, and trying to mind read what they're thinking. And the students do this too. And I go, you know what? Everybody else is thinking the same thing.
Yeah. They do it
You
on the
know,
dance floor too, right?
yeah,
They don't want to go out on the dance floor because I
yeah,
already know I'm reading everybody else's mind. They're gonna think I'm a bad dancer. And I'm
yeah,
like, no, get out there and dance, because you know what? The people making fun of you, that's a whole nother story, right? You get to go out and have a good time. You
yeah.
quit thinking you can read their mind, because you can't.
And I love Dr. Amen's 80-40 60 rule. And I think this is so true. And I tell my clients this all the time. 80-40-60. What does that mean? It means that when you're 80, you worry about what everybody's thinking about you,
Mhm. When you're
right?
80,
When you're I'm sorry, 18. When 18-40-60 rule. Did I say 80? I didn't
yeah,
I? Yes.
like 80.
I've had so much math today at school with the kids. I'm like, wait, what numbers am I saying on here? Let me start that again. It's the 18-40-60 rule. At 18 years old, you are so consumed with what everybody is thinking about you, right? The mind reading. At 40, you don't give a rat's rear end what people are thinking about you. that you think you're thinking about you, but they're not thinking about you, but you're there thinking, right?
Yeah.
And then at 60 years old, you begin to realize that no one ever was really thinking about it at all. But you wasted all that time in that
Yes.
negative space thinking that they were, only to come to some sort of a realization later on in life that no, they really, really weren't. So if you have kids at home, this is a great, great one to think about and make it age, applicable to them. Let's say they're 12 years old. At 12 and 8, 12 and 25 and 40 or 50, you can plug in the numbers whatever fits for them, because I think that would be a really great thing to say. And I say this to my middle school kids all the time. Listen, you're 12, 13, 14 years old. You don't think everybody else is thinking, feeling the same thing in here? Is absolutely true. So let's put all that stuff aside and just come and show up and be you. Be authentic you.
100%.
Yeah.
I know at the beginning of the show you had mentioned, that two of your three kids had gone to Dr. Amon's, and our oldest daughter also went to Dr. Amon's. And I will say this is that his work saved her life.
Yeah.
So it's and what I mean by that is that having the scan done showed us information that we would have never known had we not been able to look at her brain, because
100%.
the medications and things that were being given to her were the wrong things for her body. So, working with these kind of things to feed into that, right? Because we can rewire our brain. It's neuroplastic. We can undo, we can unravel, we can make new pathways. There's lots of beautiful things that we can do, and we can model for our kids what this looks like. Let's start here. Let's start here and do all the really, all these really cool things so that the kids can see it, where you're talking nice to yourself and high-fiving yourself and looking in the mirror and saying, I love you and you rock, you're awesome, and high-fiving yourself.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Thank you. Yes, it was a huge blessing that we were able to get two of our kids scanned at the Amen Clinic, because like you said, it showed us so much that we didn't know about their brains. It helped us to understand how to best support them. So if you find that you're in this same spot, or you've got family members or even yourself that have been struggling, we would encourage you to reach out to an Amen Clinic around you. Go see them online and begin to explore to see if that is something that would be beneficial to you. So as we're closing out here, Corinne, thank you so much for being here. It was an absolute honor and privilege to have you here. I love you, my friend, and just love spending time and being in this space with you. Please remind our listeners where they can find you on social media and your podcast.
Okay. The podcast is called The Secret Keep Hers. They can find it on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, any podcast platform. They can find me on social media, Corinne_Zuleger. Facebook, I have Corinne Zuleger Life Coaching. I can find me. My website is CorinneZuleger.com. So everything is just based around my name. You can find me on LinkedIn, TikTok. I make TikToks. I think I'm pretty funny sometimes. Sometimes I'm kind of serious. But there's a lot of good information in there, especially for parents. A lot of really good information for parents and how to just help yourself and help your families move forward and break generational trauma cycles.
Beautiful. And of course, friends and family around the world, you know where to find me on all the social media platforms at Energetic Life Now. My name, Eric Stenlake, or come join my private Facebook group, the Empowered Family Network, just for us that want to be in the space of families and being empowered. How do we empower our families? Thank you guys so much for being here, whether you're here for the first time live with us or you're catching the replay. We're sending blessings to you and your family around the world for your peace, safety, love, happiness, and joy. Today's show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check it out at spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, reload it. read it, download it, and live it. Thanks you guys so much for being here. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.